Yeah. Okay. So what are we talking about today? Right now we're talking about each of our phases of motherhood that we're in.
Yes.
Because we're at two totally different places.
Yeah. I would say my phase is more fun, but you would probably argue that yours is more fun. That's because babies aren't my thing.
Well, and you know, I don't know any different at this point. You have more experience, so you can say that. You can totally say that. But yeah, we're at two totally different places. We had our kids, even though Megan and I are the same age, we had kids at two totally different points in our lives. So we're at different places. And so we're going to talk about motherhood and how that just adds a new layer to our lives and how we handle it, how Megan is mastering it, and how we're doing it and trying to stay sane, trying to take care of ourselves and maintain our own personalities too at the same time, maintaining who we are as people and not getting lost.
Yes, because we need all of those things. If we didn't take care of ourselves, or if I didn't take care of myself, my kids would not be taken care of. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think the same way. He might be taken care of physically, but mentally and emotionally, it's hard to say.
Yeah,
it's hard to say where we'd be. So we're gonna get started.
Great.
Okay. We've already said that we're at two totally different places. How old are your girls?
Yes, two girls. I have a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old, and they could not be more opposites in ends of the spectrum as far as like personality goes. So yeah. And you have?
I have a son who is 2.
Yeah.
2 in a couple months.
So we have girls and then we have boys. So we have like both of the worlds.
And then at 2 totally different ages, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So what do you love most about these ages and phases that your girls are in?
I love personally that they are a little bit more independent. So, you know, I struggle when I feel like people are very dependent upon me. So that's been a lot of fun for me because they actually get to do the things with me versus me doing them for them, which is really nice. I love that they're creating these personalities. Like I'm already starting to see, like you and I met in middle school. And so now I'm already starting to see like what kind of kids they're going to be as they grow up, which is really interesting. So I love that as well. Like their personalities, their interests, their strengths are starting to develop and show. And, you know, obviously just my personal interest in psychology and the way development works, I love seeing that bloom in both of them.
Yeah.
What about you?
I mean,
your group, your age.
We're just having a good time. You know, we're outside all the time. We play outside. Right now, it's a great season to do that. I mean, and every day he's learning something new. And we had a kind of a long story with his ears and constantly with the ear infections. We finally got tubes at the beginning of the summer. So now he's really starting to talk. You know, because his speech was a little bit delayed to the point where we saw a speech therapist. We just weren't sure what's happening. Is this a developmental thing? Turns out it's really just he had so many ear infections he couldn't hear. So we got the tubes in May. So now he can talk. And so now he's able to interact and he understands what I'm saying. So that's been great. So he understands what I'm saying, and whether or not he chooses to actually listen to that, now that's a different story. But he knows what I'm saying. He's having a good time, but he still lets me cuddle him, you know, and hug on him and love on him, and I love that so much. So I think that's what it is. So he's getting more independent, and he understands. He can communicate with me, but yet he's not to the point where he doesn't want anything to do with me. You know, he's like not like so independent. He's like, no, mommy. He's not there yet.
Well, hopefully that's just a part of his personality, right? I think I have one that is very much still a cuddler and loves the snuggles and would much rather spend time with me than do something independently on her own or play in a room. And then I have one that's not, and that's actually more like my personality. Like I don't require physical touch. I don't require the cuddling and the affirmation in that way. And she's like me. She's like, I'd rather be on my own. Right. So hopefully he just keeps that because it is nice to have.
Yeah, he's precious.
Yeah.
So what about this phase that is most challenging?
I would probably say that they can talk and they talk back. I would also say that their schedules are starting to get busier, which creates a lot of new things to navigate. Like we have sports and we've had sports for a while, but now we're being introduced to this idea of parties. Like kids are having parties.
Like what kind of parties?
Like a Halloween party or junior assembly, which I had never heard of before moving where I live now.
No.
And
so what is that?
Junior assembly, yes. Well, it is a social club that you pay for friends. I'm just kidding. It's actually not. It's probably a very good thing, but I have personal conflicts with those things. Anyways, Junior Assembly is a program where children, they sign up, they go, it's typically a dance, but they learn etiquette and dinner manners and dance routines, I think, or how you dance with each other. Once again, I'm not typically that mom. Sorry, y'all. Our dances were at a barn by a bonfire. So
in this,
and they have to dress really nice too. So we have to buy a new outfit for every dress, every dance.
Etiquette. This is like etiquette. Like, wasn't this like a thing? Like, didn't this have a name?
Well, did you do it?
No. I'm talking about like our parents' generation. Wasn't this a thing in their generation?
Oh my God, what was it called? What was
Cotillion?
it called? Yes, cotillion. It's very similar, I think, to cotillion. My kids wondered if it was their quinceanera, and we are not of Hispanic descent. So, or culture, like, no, it's not. It's Junior Assembly. So yes, I think you can relate it to cotillion. And
1965.
People teaching me cotillion was like knocking my elbow off and being like, keep your elbows off the dinner table.
Right.
And don't chew with your mouth open. But they are teaching you. So she will be a much better proper woman when she grows up than I am. But like, what side do the forks go on and how do you dance properly? And so yeah, that's part of this challenge. Because like,
so are you doing it then?
My oldest is.
Okay. How old do you have to be in it?
5th grade.
Okay.
That's when it starts.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And this is like the thing.
It is the thing where we live.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't think I've heard of that in Hickory.
Well, I know.
I mean, I'm sure it exists.
That's where it came from.
Hickory is, it has its old money section. So I'm sure it has somebody's doing it. I don't know, at the country, it's not a Catawba.
Yes.
That's why we're members of Catawba, but I don't know. I'm sure it exists. I feel 100% sure it exists in Hickory. I just don't know about it.
Yeah, I think it's funny because our kids, my daughters know nothing other than where we've been our whole lives, but I'm constantly remembering where I come from. And so it is very much a different thing where I'm like, man, I love that they're getting this new experience.
Right.
And I send them back home constantly to remember where I came from, like the red dirt we came from. So it's cool, but it is challenging because I'm not used to it. So it's a new experience for me.
That's interesting. I feel like that's good though. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Like I think about, some of the more formal dinners I attended when I was in human resources and I was with executives of the company and, we were at, a nice restaurant and I'm having to remember, okay, keep your hands off the table, act appropriately, Yeah. And that will probably come in handy for her.
It will. And
or for them. I mean, I'm assuming you're going to put your youngest in it too.
She said you couldn't pay her to do it. So we'll see. She's a few years out.
I can see her saying that.
We'll see. Yeah, I doubt that. I'm not sure. We'll see. But it will be good because like I had to learn all those things in business as well as I continue to advance in my career. I was constantly at dinners and the expectations were quite different from what I came from. And so were the taste and the expenses and things like that. So it will be good for her. Like she will be a lot more cultured than I was when I walked into the business world. So yeah, that'll be good.
That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, truly, I think that's great.
What about you? What's the most challenging right now for you?
I think the most challenging, I don't know, I hate to make it about me, but I feel like the most challenging is just making sure that I'm there for him in terms of his development. I really didn't want anything to do with kids before I had kids. And so I don't know what I'm doing. Not that anybody knows what they're doing, but like, I just want to make sure that I'm giving him the right developmental opportunities, that I'm not like, babying him too much or, whatever, like really encouraging him to explore and do all the things and just making sure that I'm there for him in that way.
Yeah. Every moment in their lives is a chance for development. Just, I mean, all of them, right? Like, even when they just go to the bathroom.
I know. Oh yeah, that's okay. Maybe that should be my most challenging. He wants nothing to do with the toilet.
I've heard boys are harder.
Yeah, he wants nothing to do with the toilet.
I did not have that issue, but we also had a daycare that really helped us out. So that's one of those things I was extremely grateful for.
Yeah, I don't know that we're going to get that kind of help. So, yeah, that's what. Okay, that's probably like my next thing, my next challenge. And I don't know, potty training. And I know, we're going into winter, which makes it a little bit more challenging for boys, because in theory, you could just let them outside with no pants on and work on it. But when you get kind of cold.
I've heard that if you spend a weekend naked in the house, that you train them. That's one of the theories I've heard. And I think we did that with one of ours, but school really helped us. Maybe if anybody else has some ideas about potty training a boy, because I don't have them. And I've always heard the boys are a little more challenging than the girls. Yeah. And so let us know. Let Salem know. She needs help.
Totally open to any kind of feedback you've got for me.
Yes. All right.
So, I mean, we're talking about challenges, we're talking about the good things, talking about the challenging things. Like, how are you having to adapt in this phase? I mean, with I'm calling it cotillion because that's all I remember. You clearly have had to adapt and be more open to that, but how else are you having to adapt?
I have to adapt pretty much every way, physically, mentally, and emotionally, I would say. Right. Like I said, both of mine have very, very different personalities. And so I have to adapt my schedule to parent differently for each of them. But what my superpower helps me with that adaptation, because I like to have routines and structures and put things in boxes, which allows me to say like, okay, and it does often feel like I'm just checking the boxes every day, but those boxes have been created to make sure that I am like present, I am engaged, involved, and taking them where they need to go, or also showing up for what they need to do. I'm also an introvert, so like that meme that you've seen about like, I hope my extrovert kid knows how hard it is for my introversion to come out and be social. That is the thing. So it's really challenging for me, but honestly, at the end of the day, I'm like, yep, my child has made me better because of what I'm having to adapt to.
Right. Oh, that's good. That's good.
I don't know. It don't feel good sometimes.
Okay, so I know that both of us, we are trying our very best to be the best parents that we possibly can be. And so we're like constantly pouring everything we've got into their cups.
Yeah.
So what do you do when your cup's empty? How you fill it back up?
That's a great question. I would say I have to have a routine. Like I say this at work, I say this at home. It's like, if without a routine, if you don't prepare to plan, you fail to prepare to plan, or I don't know what the saying
I know where you're trying
but
to say. Yeah.
I have to know what's happening next for me in order to feel like it's going to go smoothly. And that's probably a little bit of the control freak in me. I am a recovering perfectionist, so like, so I would say what I do to fill my cup is, first of all, and we'll talk about this later, is I get up at 5 a.m. every morning, because I need some mental space to myself. Right. I need to be able to start my thinking clearly without anybody else providing input in that, whether it be their opinion about what they want to wear or what they want for breakfast or anything like that. So, and that's where I do podcast. I read a book. I'm an avid reader when I can squeeze it in. I also, fitness is something that fills my cup, and fitness looks different for everybody, but consistent fitness for me, or movement of the body, which I've really had to like talk to myself about, is movement more than anything.
Right.
Every day keeps my cup full, and I'm a lot more joyful and there for my children. What about you?
I struggle. How's that?
Yeah.
I'm just not as good about it. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because I can't help but like keep myself like doing something and distracted, and then it turns into work, and then I've overcommitted on things, and then it's like, what have I done? I'm really good at that. So I struggle with the filling the cup back up, but I'm working on it. I feel like I'm in this season of really trying to work on it. So started the Whole30, just trying to get my body back in check. And I am trying my best to join Megan's 5 a.m. club. It's a club. It's a thing. Yeah, totally look it up. But there is something magical about getting up that early in the morning and having that time to yourself to do whatever it is, whether it's do a devotion, listen to a podcast, just sit in the quiet, or prepare for the day, you know, whatever it is, or exercise. I mean, having that time, that alone time where your spouse is not there, your kids are not there, your dogs are not there.
All the things.
It's so nice to just have that alone time. Because I mean, of course, both of our husbands golf, and that's a lovely little hobby there that they have. So I don't have a hobby like that. So my 5 a.m. I guess is my hobby time. No, that is the time. I mean, ultimately, in the couple of weeks that I've tried to really start to incorporate that has been a game changer, is getting up at 5 a.m.
Yeah, we need to talk about the 5 a.m. club for just a second. Because I realize that sometimes it seems extreme, and it's like, oh my God, you're crazy. I could never do that. And yes, I am crazy. Yes, 5 a.m. is crazy. And I understand that and see that. But for me, out of anything, it's more of a necessity. It's not like I don't want to wake up at 5 a.m. But I know that I need to wake up at 5 a.m. because any day that I don't wake up at 5 a.m., or I would say like on the weekends, that's a little more flexible, but it's really just having like at least an hour to myself before the rest of the household wakes up. So most days it's 5 a.m. Is a necessity more than anything. And once you get into that rhythm and routine, you actually start to, the moment you miss one, it doesn't feel as great, right? Like you realize it's optimal for physical, mental, emotional to get through the day.
I know. Well, I mean, this morning was a perfect example for me. I was going to get up, not at 5, but I was going to get up at 6. And that was going to give me about an hour to just like slowly get ready, get everything done before Harrison woke up. And then I could, you know, devote some time to him. What'd I do? I turned the alarm on.
Yep.
And then I spent the rest of the morning in a scramble. And so that just doesn't feel good. I don't like my morning being like that.
Yeah.
And so like when you have to face the consequences of not waking up like you should, then you learn. You quickly start to learn it's just not okay. It's not worth it. It's not worth that extra hour in the bed.
Yes.
Or whatever it was.
It's kind of like a hangover in our 30s. Like it's not worth it. Okay.
It's not worth it.
It's not. And like, listen, I love tequila. Okay. Especially a good one. I love it so much, but I also know that I love not having a foggy brain the next morning, or also being able to not waste my day. So just like a good hangover, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. So we're talking about routines a little bit. We've already talking about, okay, I'm trying my best. You're consistently doing it. We're waking up at 5 a.m. What happens next? What's the rest of your routine like?
Ooh, okay. Yes. People call me a machine, and you know what? I love and hate that. Once again, it's a necessity for me in order to be my best for everybody else around me. So 5 a.m. means I literally roll out of bed and put my shoes on and go work out. Some mornings suck. Some mornings are me just walking my neighborhood or like the city I live in. And that's what I call a workout. Other mornings though are 5 a.m. Cycling or strength or something like that. And then I am done by 5:45 and in the shower.
Okay.
And for the last, I would say 60 to 90 days, I've actually been taking a cold shower. So I don't have a cold plunge or what I would love one. I'll get there eventually. But I take a cold shower and that's really, really actually helped I hear all these scientific things like nervous systems and things like that. But honestly, it just helps me like clear up my brain even more. I get ready and have a cup of coffee before I open bedroom doors to the rest of my kids.
Okay.
And then,
so what time is that then?
6 a.m. is their wake up.
Okay.
Because it takes them 45 minutes to put on 3 articles of clothing. So that's the truth, y'all. 45 minutes for a shirt, pants, and socks. Shoes don't even get put on until we walk out the door. But neither here nor there. We're out the door by 7-ish. There's never a 7 a.m. It's always ish to school. And then I drop them off. I walk them to school.
Oh yeah, 'cause you guys live so close.
Those are one of those moments that I intentionally do, whether it puts me off schedule at work or not, is I always get my kids and walk them to school and physically have that time with them and make sure that they're set for the day. I didn't always get to do that when at my previous career. And so that is one of those things that I have the flexibility to do now. And I make sure that I do that. Plus they go to after school. So I don't have that necessarily after school. Like I don't get to pick them up. And then my brain changes a little bit and it's like clocking in for like what Megan does great at work kind of
right.
So commute to work which is normally a podcast, whether it be about development of the team, marketing. I work in the marketing industry. So it's that. And then I go into work and I almost like turn off the home Megan for a little while and I like grind it out. I love to have, and my team at work says this all the time, and we say this, we protect our peace in the mornings, and that's our productivity time. So I get everything heavy lifting done before lunchtime, essentially.
Gotcha.
And that way, the rest of my afternoon, I can allow things to freely flow throughout my thinking phase and have meetings if I need to, and all that stuff so that I can walk away with whatever I need for the next day.
Right.
Clock out at work. And then I'm going to get the girls. And we typically have soccer 4 days of the work week. So
what time do you normally leave work?
Between 4 and 4:30, depending on our soccer schedule.
Okay, let's back up again. What time do you normally get to work?
By 7:30, 7:45, depending on traffic.
How long's your commute?
Oh, well, it depends with the interstate. It can be anywhere
average.
Between, it normally averages out to be about 30, 35 minutes.
Okay. Yeah. So not horrible, but
no,
not a quick drive down the road.
Yes, it is not. It's just enough time to listen to a podcast. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Perfect. Okay.
Y'all can start listening to our podcast to commute.
Yeah.
Shameless.
Very shameless. But okay, so it's 4:30. Picking up the girls.
Yep. Now I'm already thinking about, okay, we have dinner we got to eat. We've got to get to soccer. And then straight from soccer is more like, the routine of bath. If we take baths, that happens every now and then. It's one of those things we don't prioritize all the time. For my kids, I shower.
Even better.
And then bed. So our evenings are very busy right now. So the mornings are really those high impact moments with my kids.
Right.
I would say.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you're doing an activity or whatever. What time do you normally eat dinner?
Between 5 and 5:30 before we walk out the door.
Okay. Before you walk out the door to go wherever.
Mm-hmm.
So how are you cooking dinner?
Ooh, yeah. Are we moving there yet? Or
that's
like
okay,
your meal planning stuff?
You're right. Oh, we're just talking about routine right now.
Things about that. Yeah. So that's my routine. What about you? Because yours is very different than mine.
It is.
And you're not in that season yet. You're not like sports everyday season.
No. And I'm just in my personality, I'm less structured than you. So, I'm a little bit more free flowing, which bites me in the rear often. So let's make that clear. I have a free flowing mentality sometimes, and doesn't really work out to my benefit.
I'm jealous of people that it works though. I get jealous often anyway of free flowing.
We'll talk about jealousy in another episode. It's easy, but no, it doesn't work sometimes.
Like, well, what does it look like first?
Well,
and then
okay,
what
okay.
isn't working?
Okay. Well, what's not working is my inability to say no, which is again another conversation. So
I love saying no. I say it a lot.
Really bad. But anyway, so I'm working on my 5 a.m. Okay. So usually it's somewhere between 5 and 5:30. If I'm really just struggling to get up, it ends up being 5:30. That still gives me time to get fully ready before anybody else wakes up. And that's still my goal. Ultimately, I don't want to be putting on my makeup when Harrison is awake. I don't want to, or when he wakes up, like I don't want to do, I want to be fully ready. At least my head ready. I might have my pajamas still on, but or like yoga pants or whatever, but at least my face is on and my hair is done to the point that I could walk out the door.
Okay, do you sweat when you get ready? I have to pause for just a second because we need to talk about like PJs.
No,
I know this is the thing, and I'm sure all moms are thinking this, like, or women in general. I sweat when I get ready. So what are your PJs like?
I used to sweat when I got ready.
No, this is a lot harder. You weren't expecting this.
I wasn't, no. But I used to, and my mom used to all the time. She always has a fan in the bathroom. And every now and then I will. Like if I'm using one of those like stick iron, like curling wands. Sometimes I'll get hot doing that because that's literally a workout. I don't care what anybody says. That thing is a workout for your shoulders and your arms. Period. It is.
And yet we do it.
Yeah, I did it today. Yeah. I usually don't. I usually use the straightener because it's way faster, but also why my hair is fried. So, no, I don't sweat. Okay. So I usually have like pajama pants on or like a yoga pant, but something thin, not sweatpants. Like I don't wear sweatpants, period.
Okay. Well, for you women out there that sweat like me, because I sweat, I have to wear a nightgown. And I don't mean to say that in like a sexy way. I mean, like I have to have maximum airflow.
Like Mama Moo. That's what you were in.
No, it's like not a lot of whatever fabric because I sweat so bad. So if it's touching me, like I would love to walk around without clothes on, but I also don't have blinds in my living room. That was a decision on purpose, but we'll get to that later. Yes, I have to have a nightgown. So like you get to wear pants, but I
wear pants.
I'm sweating.
They're thin pants and I usually like flowy pants.
Yep, no.
Yeah, and like a little t-shirt or whatever. But I mean, I put my bra on, I have like everything on. Like, so all I have to do is just take that off and put my work clothes on. Plus,
more prepared than me in that.
Harrison is, he's 2. So when we're eating breakfast, whatever he's eating is on me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or when I go to get him out of the crib, sometimes his diaper is so full, it leaks on me. So now I have pee on me. And there's a very good chance I have pee on me today.
Boys do that a lot more than girls too, not just the potty training.
So I'm still in that phase of I got food on me. I might have urine on me. You just never know what I could get on me. So I try to wait to put my clothes on the very last minute.
Morning masterpieces.
Yeah.
So so like
I have my own routine. Yep. I get ready. We get him up. He's usually, unless he's going through some sort of like weird regressions, like 7 o'clock. No later than 7 o'clock. Because if I let him sleep in, then we're late. So no later than 7 o'clock. He's up. He gets a snack. We call it a snack. It's like a little light breakfast, like yogurt, something easy, quick, half banana type thing. And then let him watch TV, wake up, kind of ease into the day. I put his clothes on while he's watching TV. He gets ready. Then about 7:15, turn the TV off, brush teeth, try to get out the door. We're usually out the door by like 7:35, 7:45. If we're out the door by 7:45, we're late, but that's okay.
Can we pause there for just a second? Because you said something, and it's really funny because we also parent a little differently, even in those younger ages, but the device and technology piece of it.
Oh, yeah.
So I would like to say that I think both of us are not screen time people, but we also allow device time, right? Like we allow some screen time, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I don't think so either, as long as it's in moderation, right?
Correct.
So like everything in moderation. he's watching TV for 15, 20 minutes in the morning. It's real. I don't think it's really that harmful. And he's not watching Cocomelon. He's watching this kid on his tractor. So, I mean, he also loves Blippi. So if y'all have young kids and you know who Blippi is, you know how wonderful that show is. Well, good for him though. You know, he's made tons of money. He's been bought out or whatever. I don't know the whole story, but you know, good for him.
Yeah.
And ultimately his content's not that bad. It's just his personality is a little bit, you know, a little bit
questionable.
But anyway, the content's not bad. But he's aged out of Miss Rachel. He doesn't love her as much. So it's like, dang, gotta find something else. So right now we're on the tractors, and it's this kid and his dad, and they're on tractors. His name's Hudson. Hudson's Playground is the current show on YouTube we've been watching. But yeah, I mean, he's at school all day. They have 0 screens there.
Yeah.
And I mean, because he's 2, and so they don't have electronic devices. They might have some toys that are like have batteries or whatever, but they don't have screens there. And then when he comes home, my mom goes and picks him up.
Yeah.
Usually around like 3:30 from school. And I can't control what happens there. I have 0 control about what happens there.
And we're going to say we don't know what always happens there. So yes.
Yeah.
So you get off work then.
I get off work. I drop him off, go to work. My work day is not necessarily as regimented as yours. This is where I get a little free flowing. This is where I get in trouble. I just love to push a deadline is really the problem. Megan knows this. I do it in my personal life too. It's not just limited to my work, but I do push a deadline as far as I can. So, meaning I like to wait until the last minute. I'm very good at procrastinating. Very good. But yes, get off work anywhere between like 4 and 5, depending on how my day has gone, how much I've gotten done, how my week has been, if I hadn't had to, leave early a ton or whatever. So I'll leave around 4 or 5, go pick him up at my mom's, or she brings him back to my house. And then my husband, he's there by 5 and he cooks dinner. Yeah. He cooks dinner because he likes to have dinner by a certain time. And so when we first got married and I was cooking dinner at 8:00, he quickly put an end to that.
I love that so much.
I'm cooking dinner from now on because he gets home before. He has always gone home before I have.
Yeah.
Always since the very beginning. And he is a papaw and wants to eat at 5 p.m. And I can't get dinner ready that fast.
I love that. I love early dinners. If I could eat at work before I left, I would, but I don't. It's just not.
No, I would eat.
It's not on my schedule.
I would eat again if I ate at 4. I would eat again at 8:00. So, and I'm exaggerating. We don't eat at 5. We usually eat around 6:30, and then bath starts at 7. And we do a bath every day. It's still part of our routine. I'm sure as he gets older, we'll be like you and not do it every night, but. Right now, bath is still religiously part of his bedtime routine. So we start that at 7. Then we do our nighttime routine. He's in bed by 8. And then we have, from 8 to 10 to hang out.
Cool.
Or because I can't say no to stuff, I work on stuff from 8 to 10 that I've committed to.
All the things. I mean, like, that's why we're doing this. Where do all the things fit in your schedule? Well, now you know where all our things fit in the schedule. I normally stay up past my bedtime on our podcast nights.
Yeah.
Because my bedtime ranges between 8:30 and 9:15, and that's my cutoff.
8:30? Dang.
I don't know. 5 a.m. That's why I can get up at 5 a.m. 8 hours of sleep I require.
Well, I usually go to bed by 10, so that's why I'm struggling to get up at 5. That's why I'm struggling. So let's go back to dinner for a little bit. So
food
challenge though. Dinners is always a struggle. It seems like, or at least I remember it like that. So as a kid, my mom, she hated cooking dinner, and she really hated the fact that nobody ever gave her ideas on what to cook. That was the struggle. It wasn't the fact of necessarily cooking it. It was like, what am I going to cook? And she just, there is a certain point you're cooking the same things over and over again. Or I just remember her always asking, what do you want for dinner? And we'd always just say, oh, whatever, I don't care. And she'd get so mad because she'd have to come up with something. And
there was a season of my life that I essentially lived at Salem's all the time. So I would show up every day, and that was like every kid's dream, I feel like, though. Because it's like, oh my God, we're getting to have cheese and crackers with biscuits from breakfast 2 days ago, and liver mush and it was a smorgasbord of all the best things. And it wasn't even like dinner related. It could be
a lot of
breakfast.
time it was breakfast.
It was always breakfast to dinner all the time. And cheese and crackers, that was always a staple, or whatever else they cut up. And so it was kids' dreams. So she succeeded, but I get the struggle because my kids do this. My kids do this.
Yeah, I mean, clearly we're still alive and we ate those dinners all the time. So, you know, the pressure to cook like a well-rounded, like super healthy meal. I mean,
debatable.
Right. But like how, I mean, we both at this point in our lives do some sort of like at least meal planning. Like I don't want to go as far as to say meal prep, because meal planning and meal prepping are two totally different things in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Food is my vice. So I must do both. If I don't do both, I can meal plan all day, but it's going to be comfort food. And it's going to be the things that I love to indulge in, which I should not be doing on a regular basis. So meal planning and meal prepping both have to happen for me. But that's because I know what my body can and cannot do.
Right.
So I do meal planning thanks to one of your things that you created a long time ago. I still use that to this day. And I go down Pinterest rabbit holes for healthy meals. And I can't deny that there's probably normally like 2 different meals in my house on a regular basis, because my kids don't necessarily eat the same things that I eat. But that's also because when I'm in it, I'm extremely rigid on what I eat as well. So I have to write down what meals we're going to have. And it's normally like, okay, Megan and her husband, or Megan and maybe 1 or 2 of the kids might eat this, but then there's going to be another meal option. Right. I just have to do that. And then I also do my grocery shopping online pickup. I do not go into grocery stores anymore unless I absolutely have to. And I think I've created PTSD for myself, because then I get lost because I don't know where anything is anymore. So I do my grocery pickup. And that actually also helps me keep my budget back. Right. Like it's real easy to, especially with groceries these days, it's real easy to like blow up $500. Oh yeah. For a week or 2. Yeah. So meal planning, grocery order online, and then meal prepping. I love leftovers. You know, I grew up and had to live on leftovers a lot in my life. So whatever I cook enough to have another day or 2 in advance. And not everyone in my family loves leftovers, but once again, that's why there's 2 options. And typically I'll alternate them. And then I absolutely have to have an air fryer and an Instant Pot. So those are the 2. I could probably replace my oven with it. But I love my oven too. So just kidding. Instant fryer, Instant Pot, and air fryer are the things that I use the most because they are quick, but you have lots of options with them. Right. So I can normally have meals done in less than 20 minutes. Yeah. Megan's trying to sell me on the idea of both of these things, but she said in particular, because I asked her this the other night, because I have neither, and we're just not big food people. Like, of course, Justin and I love to eat. Like my husband and I love to eat, but we don't have lots of appliances. I don't like things on my counters. I don't, so everything is hidden. And so we just don't buy kitchen appliances, like small kitchen appliances like that. But Megan says, if you're going to have either one, you have to have the air fryer. Yeah. I'm also doing the Whole30 right now, and I actually do it multiple times a year typically, or at least I frame meal planning around it a lot of times. And I've been using the air fryer for a majority of my recipes. It's amazing. But then you can also throw pizza rolls in it later if you want to for your kids. So it accomplishes everything you need it to accomplish. That's nice. Yeah. So maybe Black Friday, I'll put it on my list or something. We'll see. Yeah. So we do something similar. There's not always a written list, but I come up with the meal plan. Like I know, okay, we're going to have this, this, and this most of the time. Now my husband's listening to this. He's going to say like, no way. He does it. It's a group effort. Okay. We're a team. Win together. And sometimes I struggle. And so he picks it up and handles it. But,
having a rough week or whatever. And then sometimes we just don't talk about it. And then it ends up and we have no plan. And then of course everybody struggles in that scenario. But usually we meal plan, and we have some sort of a list, whether it's in our head or on paper that says, okay, we're going to have this, this, and this. We don't do two options usually, because Harrison for the most part eats what we eat. And then if he doesn't, for whatever reason, we make him like a peanut butter and jelly, or we'll boil some noodles, or, just something like super quick and easy. Because even though, you've heard they'll eat when they're hungry or what, I just can't. I can't. If he doesn't eat something, like I'm having a panic attack. So,
we differ in that, because I have one that hardly ever eats, and I'm just like, okay, she'll eat it when she's hungry.
Well,
she does.
She's older, and maybe I'll get there when he's older. I don't know, but right now I'm just like, you need some nutrients. Let me give you some. Like peanut butter and jelly and noodles are nutrients.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we don't necessarily go as far as to do two. We always make enough. When we're on the Whole30, some of those recipes don't extend as far as you need them to, but for the most part, we try to make enough to have that meal for lunch. Just as we do the leftovers quite a bit. And so I don't necessarily like eating leftovers day after day. Like some of those meals will make, like the shepherd's pie recipe.
Ooh, with sweet potato.
Yeah, with the sweet potato topping. It will last you for days.
Yeah, and I love things like that. And listen, I will eat stuff for a week. I realize some people are like, ew, disgusting.
Yeah.
But I don't ever get sick, so y'all can all kiss my rear.
I'm not saying disgusting because it's unsanitary. I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, the shepherd's pie. I don't love sweet potatoes like that. So I can only handle it a couple times.
Okay.
So like dinner and the next day's breakfast, about all I can handle. But yeah, so we do leftovers for lunch, and we do that mainly for a budget. I mean, if you went out to eat every single week for lunch, you're spending a small fortune. And so we try. Justin, he goes out once a week to lunch with like some of his work buddies, but for the most part, we don't eat out like that. And then we also do the plan, like Megan said. I mean, it's just economical. Like, even if you're not doing the online pickup and you're still sticking to your meal plan, you're not spending tons of money at the grocery store, because especially these days, they can rack up super fast. I mean,
a list is critical. Mission critical is one of my things I say all the time.
Yeah. And so a list revolves around the meal plan. Plus, I mean, we're in the phase of, we're going to have 500 snacks. So as long as we got those and the meal plan on the list, I mean, we're pretty good to go.
Yeah.
We're not spending quite so much. Justin also usually doesn't let me go to the grocery store, which is funny.
Oh man. If I could find somebody to do it for me, I would.
He goes to the grocery store. I'm spoiled in that he goes to the grocery store, but also he doesn't let me go to the grocery store because I spend too much money. I buy random stuff. And even though, yes, I have my plan, I'm like, ooh, this will be a fun snack. Harrison will love this. Or, oh, I gotta have that. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
That's the free flowing stuff that bites us in the butt.
So it really depends. Like, if your husband will do it, do that. If you're like me, and same thing, I don't like going to the grocery store because I'll do that as well. I do online grocery pickup because it also doesn't require me to go into a store and spend my time there.
Yeah.
So
I mean, and I mean, it's a huge time savings to do the pickup.
It really is. Yep.
Yeah. And
I love it.
I think sometimes I feel like I'm at this point in my life where my time is worth so much more.
Yes.
And so I'm not as efficient as you, but anything that's going to save some time is what I'm trying to do.
Yeah. So maybe you try that once or twice.
Well, he's in charge. I try not to get in his way. So he can
Justin, maybe you should try grocery pickup.
Well, he claims we're switching to Walmart now because they have so many more organic and Whole30 friendly options.
They do.
And they're more affordable. He says that we're switching. So he hates Walmart. So he probably will start doing the pickup.
Oh, that is where a majority of our items come from, especially because they also offer free delivery. So for Whole30 or options that you don't have, I mean, they even now carry, thank God, this like years in the making, they carry my favorite coffee creamer.
Oh yeah. We were
Which
talking about that.
you typically can't find unless you go to like a Harris Teeter. And so Walmart now carries it. And so we've switched a majority of our shopping over to Walmart outside of like meats and stuff. So yeah.
We haven't really gotten into getting the meats there, but like just some of their, especially like pantry items and stuff like that.
Yep.
It seems like that's the go-to place.
It's definitely the most affordable. I love Harris Teeter, but my pocket does not. So
yeah,
Walmart it is.
Sam's Club, Food Line for us because we don't have Harris Teeter.
Yeah,
sadly. Yeah. Okay, so earlier I kind of mentioned something about how this gives me anxiety is our children's development. Development. Okay, so and you just recently in the past couple of years did a huge renovation. How did you design your home to honor your children and their development and creating spaces for them?
It's really funny that I was laughing a minute ago when you said that, because I was like, do we think our parents probably worried about this as much as we did? And we turned out really okay, right? But we were so consumed by it. We were so consumed by it. Okay, well, for one, a little backstory there, and I'm going to make it quick because I don't want to take up so much time. I left a executive career making fantastic money, and we sold our house and downsized. And when I say downsized, we went from like over 2,500 square feet to 1,400. So almost cut our living space in half.
Yeah.
Almost. So within that, we also did a major renovation. And I was very, very involved in the design process of that because I wanted everything to be very intentional, all the spaces. And plus I needed to use every single centimeter of space in our renovation. And so with that, we used to have a huge playroom, which our kids never touched. And I did all the things. I had art centers. I had Lego centers. I had tents for reading. I had all the effing things in that playroom for development, and they didn't touch a single thing. Okay. So when we cut our room and our house in half, I created their bedrooms very intentionally with the things that they love to do, because once again, they're different kids. They love different types of play. And so one still has, she loves art, and she has an art center, and it's very created for her. And she has also Barbies. And then the other one is like going to be the mother hen when she grows up. That's literally her life's dream, is to be a stay-at-home mom. Already, she's like 10. And so she has a space that feels a little bit more like her own little miniature house. And then we have a library, which kind of holds all of our books and creative spaces and things like that, but it's all within our home. And then on top of that, you know, we didn't do a lot of custom cabinetry and things like that because our kids are tiny, and I also didn't want to have to lose my shit every time they mess something up. So we went mid-grade on a lot of those things, so that our house is very much designed to where it is designed for wear and tear.
It's designed to be lived in.
It's designed to be lived in. It's designed to be played in. It's designed to be rough in. It's designed to be like, I have nail polish on my floor already, but nobody would probably know that.
Nobody would notice until you picked it, until you pointed it out.
Yeah. So the designs were very intentional for my children to be able to live in it freely. And I say freely because I am high strung. And if it was something high end, I would like flip my shit if something got messed up. And so like, those were very intentional decisions. And there's no space that's off limit to our kids. So
right.
That's how we work in a 1,400 square foot space.
Yeah, that is small.
What about you?
So our house is a little bit bigger. We have a main floor, then we have a basement, and they're both, the basement is finished, you could say, to a certain extent. Now, if I was going to list the house for sale, they may or may not try to argue with me whether or not it's finished, but it is finished and livable and a perfect space. And it will be a perfect space for kids. And, again, I'm with Megan on making every space livable. We have 2 dogs that go inside and outside. They're smaller, they weigh like 30 pounds, but they're dirty. And so my house at any given point is going to have some dog hair in it, and definitely going to have some dirt in it. So I had to have things that are livable. And Harrison has, our house is free reign, and he can go anywhere he wants. He has a playroom that has some of the things in it, that some of the things don't get touched, but some do. And he does go in there quite a bit because it's all on the upper level. All of it's on the upper level. Now, if it was in the basement, he would never go in there because he still can't really go down the stairs yet. And there's a gate on it. Variety of reasons we don't hardly ever go down there. That's where I work out. But anyway. So he does go in there, and I have kind of like the Montessori setup. I did not do the Love Every subscription because I'm cheap. But I do have, like the shelves, and I have the toys out all at his level. I have everything organized and kind of minimized so he's not overwhelmed by all the toys and all the bins and all the things. But he goes in there some. And then he has another PlayStation in our living room.
Yeah.
And that's where he plays most of the time. That's where his favorite toys are. That's where the art station
Where
is.
his mom and dad are.
We are. We also have one of those like Montessori toddler towers. I mean, I definitely buy into the whole Montessori concept about having everything, his size, him being able to access whatever he needs to access, and being able to really encourage like independence, using, more natural materials and the toys, the wooden toys, things like that. I mean, we spend a lot of time outside anyway, and he's, in nature and doing his thing, but we also have the plastic toys too. So, just making the spaces super friendly for him. He has one of those taller towers that he uses all the time. Sometimes he stands to eat. However we can get him to eat, fine. If you want to stand in that thing, go for it. And sometimes like he's coming around to be an age where he can kind of help me in the kitchen, put things, scoop things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's kind of how we have it set up.
Yeah. Well,
so what about, so other than inside your house, what are some of the other ways that you encourage play for the girls?
Oh, I send them outside.
Imagine.
Well, I do. I actually like to spend a lot of time outside too, but I also tell them we had 2 kids for a reason. They should play together. I remember different. Like,
I'm remembering that exact phrase being told to me. Okay.
It's carried down. No, our kids are my girls are active. They play sports. And so one of the things, we have a soccer net in the backyard. And so I send them outside quite a bit. I've also put an X on the side of our carport where I'm like, okay, the game is whoever gets the most balls against that X, because it's a competition. They love to compete. And so a lot of times we end up outside too. That's our space. So, but like we have bikes, which was a part of my childhood I loved because I had free reign of town. I mean, when we grew up, you didn't come home until the light came on. Like you were told not to come home until the lights came on. And so we have bikes, and we like to bike a lot in our town that we live in. We have the soccer net in the backyard, and then we also have multiple swings. Like we have a tire swing and we have a swing in the front. And so, free space with like, I'm not a helicopter mom. Let me just say, what do they call them? Submarine moms? That might be what I am. Who knows? But I'm very much like, go play, just don't get hit by cars.
I'm not there yet.
Yeah, I've always been like that though. And so I think it might just be something for me because I want them to experience that. And so we also have a basement, and it's completely unfinished, and it's probably like one of those serial killer basements. And
it is. I've seen it.
But our kids love to play in it. And I'm like, oh my God, that's where they're going to die. For reasons unknown. So anywho, that's how my house is set up. It's completely, a free for all.
But you designed those outdoor spaces.
Yes.
Specifically for outdoor living. I mean, I know like outdoor living is like a new buzzword.
We eat outside a lot.
It's a big buzzword in the design community. Everybody wants that outdoor living space. That's all got started during COVID. Which coincidentally kind of happened whenever you were doing your renovation anyway. But when you have truly designed, you have that wonderful like eat-in area on the front porch. You also have a like lounge space and eating area on the back. You've really invested quite a bit into your outdoor spaces too.
Yes, I love to be outside a lot more. Growing up in the countryside, like you were always outside and you could see the stars. And so being outside is something that I wanted to have, even being in a little bit more of a city-like town. So yes, those are very intentional, and we spend a lot more time out there than we do inside.
Yeah. We're outside quite a bit, but we're definitely not in town. So we could walk we walk down past the barn, we walk past my uncle's place, so we can go see the horses at the farm next door. Like there are definitely places for us to walk and explore and go and play. And then of course, my dad has a lot of his stonework and equipment storage at our house. And so there are huge rock piles everywhere. And so right now our favorite thing, we love rock piles. So we go to the rock pile. And that's where we play right now. So let's pray that we don't get eaten by snakes or something come out of that rock pile.
It's good for them. It's good for
them. So we've talked a lot about routines. We've kind of already been through like our typical, like, especially like our work day, our weekdays, like routines.
Yeah.
Like what happens on the weekends? Like when, you're winding down, you've got a little bit of a change in routine.
Mm-hmm. Really depends on the weekend for us. Because typically we are at a soccer field most days on the weekends. And when we're not, it provides us the chance to be a lot more creative and not as structured.
Yeah.
But I normally have some type of home project I want to accomplish on the weekends.
Soccer.
Yes. But I love doing those. So that is what it looks like. Like today, it's a Saturday and we're batch recording, and I still got up 2 hours before everybody else so I could do my workout. I had to do that. Like, also knew we were doing this.
I'm worthless.
But no, not at all. You also have to drive. But once we're done with this today, I'll probably go home and mess around outside on some things that I need to get finished at the house, because we don't actually have soccer this weekend. But typically it's like I need to pack meals just like I do during the week, and we need to have structured routines because we're going to be at the soccer field and we're going to eat these things at this time. But when we don't have that, it is a little more free flowing, and a little more creative and working on things outside of the house.
Nice. How do your girls respond to the routines, whether it's the week or the weekday? I mean, week or weekend?
Yeah. I think without them knowing, they thrive in it. And I'm pretty sure that's for all kids. Like a routine helps them thrive. And I get, conspiracy, the world makes us do this so that we can get on a normal routine for working or whatever purposes, but it actually, I think, really helps people place different times in their day.
Okay, I'm just thinking about what you said.
One day I'll have a tinfoil hat. But it helps them with their day figure out like what they need to do, right? Because without any structure, what are you going to get done? Even if it's for yourself, what are you going to get done? So without them knowing it, I think they thrive in it. They don't love the morning times, but they do love the evenings. They look forward to, obviously they look forward to the hustle and bustle of whatever they've got going on because their friends are involved, but then they also look forward to our evening time together because it is very much like spending that together before they go to bed. And one loves school for social purposes and the structure. The other one is bored at school. And so I foresee her being a little bit more of a contrarian in life as the systems come down the pipeline. So we'll see. But for them emotionally, I think it works really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about vacations, or like when you get off track, what happens?
Yes, vacations, listen, are my favorite. We don't do them very often. I am the person that literally lives on a schedule, but when we go on vacation, there is no schedule. I also do not cook on vacation. When we get back though, it is a little bit of an adjustment. The first like 24 to 48 hours is a bit of an adjustment. But I put in a grocery order before I even get home, knowing I'm going to need to pick it up. And I typically build in a staycation day between ending of vacation and work for that, like meal prep, meal plan, get the kids back in a rhythm and routine. Right. They go back to bed at a decent time. And I mean, like 24 hours is a turnaround. I run a tight ship, y'all. I run a tight ship.
She does. She's really got it down pat. I'm really working on it, but I'm not quite there yet. Well, anything else you want to talk about or say about just motherhood in general? Is it what you thought it was going to be?
Yes. 100%. Hot mess express. Yeah, I mean, it is. It really is. I was someone who did not want kids, to be honest with you. I know that I was the first person.
We shared that.
First person to get married and the first person in my friends group to have kids. And everybody's like, you were actually the person that was never going to get married and never have kids. And like, it wasn't for selfish purposes. It was simply because like, I know my flaws, my recovering perfectionism, and I didn't want that to bleed on some other kid, like that's God, traumatizing. Anywho,
somebody else.
I love it. Like those girls grow me more than I grow them, I think, right? And so I do think that hopefully, even though their mom is a little bit of like an army sergeant in her routines and structure, that it will hopefully help them get further down the road than I've gotten, which is always the goal. Once you have kids, it's not necessarily about you anymore. It's about them while prioritizing yourself too. And so I can't imagine life without it at this point.
Right.
And I have friends that don't have kids, and I'm like so happy for them too, because I know how much fun that is. And but I can't imagine not getting to hopefully make an impact in the world with the good and bad of like shed light.
Yeah.
What about you?
I mean, same. I wasn't 100% sure that I wanted kids, but now, of course, now that we have our son, I'm like, well, why did I wait so long? That's kind of my thought process, but God has his perfect timing. And so I think it's worked out exactly how it's supposed to, but I've also never been so motivated my entire life. Like I've always been very ambitious and really, trying to go after it in my career. And, just enjoyed my personal time. But now that I have him, I'm like, oh my gosh, why did I waste so much time? And so I think that's another reason why I'm trying to like just pack my schedule full of stuff, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got to get this done. I need to do this. I need to try this. So I'm passionate about that. Like, why did I waste so much time? And so now I'm like, oh, let's get some stuff done. So
it will get done.
I know it will.
It does get done.
It will. And so I don't know. It's been fun.
Good.
And it'll continue to be fun. So we hope that something in our stories maybe resonated with you, or you picked up something good from what we said, maybe a tip or a trick or something that works for us that you could give a try.
Yeah. And if you have meal planning routines, I would love to hear about those, because that's where I struggle the most, even though I am rigid in doing it.
Yeah.
It's the diversity in it I'm not good at.
Well, and what to cook for dinner, like if you have quick and easy recipes that are also super healthy, like definitely share those with us on social, or share them with us so we can share them with other people too. And we'll put some of our favorite recipes in the show notes that we use for when we're on the Whole30, especially, that are really family friendly. Like everybody will like them, even though they were, super, super healthy.
Yeah.
And so we'll share some of that, and maybe share like the form that Megan was talking about, like the meal planning form. We can put that in the show notes too.
Yeah, you'll get to see my recipes currently on Instagram as I embrace the cringe of Whole30.
It's good.
But they're great. I do love the recipes, and it's the best thing ever. So
yeah. And if you're unfamiliar about the Whole30, maybe we'll do a podcast about it specifically, because we're both really big advocates for it. But you can definitely look it up online. We cannot say enough good things about that. Doing basically like a restart on your whole system.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, guys, until next time, get out there, take care of all the things, and we'll see you then.
See ya.